Welcome to the My Career, My Calling podcast, a voice of hope for people of faith in the marketplace. This podcast is brought to you by the Marketplace Missions Movement, a not-for-profit organization supporting Christians seeking to identify, develop, build, and expand their ministries and calling into the marketplace. The movement is seeking to empower, build up, and activate believers for authentic and impactful participation in sharing the message and love of Jesus Christ and demonstrating the principles of the kingdom of God in their workplaces and through their professions. Meet our moderator, Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, a well-rounded public health professional, researcher, author, strategic leadership advisor, gospel musician, and spiritual leader. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the My Career, My Calling podcast. Please stay tuned as we bring you another inspiring discussion to help build you up on your purpose-driven journey in the marketplace. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and I'd love to thank you for joining us for this another episode of the My Career, My Calling podcast. I am your friend and your host, Dr. Stephanie. Now, today, as I promised you earlier, we had 2 episodes, and today I am super excited to have a very special guest in the studio with me, and we're going to be speaking with Reverend Jon Attakora, who is an executive education expert and a leading trainer in corporate ethics and performance management. He is a CEO of Relay Global, a corporate management research and consulting organization. He is also country manager for the Australian Ghanaian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the AGCCI, where he oversees business development and the Chamber's strategic trade and investment promotions and portfolios. He also coordinates the international offices both in Australia and in Ghana. He is a lead pastor at the New Spring Christian Center in Ghana, and I am so excited to be bringing on stage today, and I wanted to help me welcome Reverend Jon Attakora. Reverend Jon, welcome to My Career, My Calling.
Hi, Pastor Steph. Thanks so much for having me on this show. Let me just say I think I have been on this listening to him for I think the past 2 or 3 weeks, and let me say you are doing an awesome work. God bless you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much, Reverend Jon. It is my pleasure to be serving the people across the globe with this great message, and I am super delighted to have you here with us. I listen to you speaking and preaching and delivering, and I recognize that you have such deep insights into so many different things. And I thought that I wanted to share your voice with our audience around the globe today. And today we've got a really important topic, which we are speaking around balancing values, faith and ethics and our career. And particularly, both of us are from the Afro diaspora. And I believe that there's something that we could share with those from the African diaspora, whether you were born outside like myself, or those who have come from there, migrated, and those who are friends of the Afro diaspora. I believe there's something we could learn today. But when I was looking at your profile, I saw the term executive education and corporate ethics and performance management. Now, can you explain a little bit about what that is? And then we'll talk a little bit about your Relay Global business.
Hi, Pastor Steph. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so executive education is basically programs and courses, if you like, designed to help improve the performance of managers. Okay, particularly those at the top ladder of leadership in their corporate circles. And so that's basically what it is about. So we deal with management, leadership, and how to put that together to 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 really bring the best out of the workforce and also meet targets of the corporate entities. All right. And you know that every corporate entity is set up to achieve something. They always have objectives, and in working to achieve these objectives, i.e., the services or the products they put out, you know, there is relationship being built between top management and those down the ladder and so on. And so how that is organized in the attempt to achieve all these objectives, how that works out into the rights and wrongs of what society will identify with, if you like. So with the corporate ethics, see, we look at ethics basically refers to the character, the conduct, and the customs of any given organization. So um, in what we do with these three arms of ethics, character basically is what we have, the values you have internalized. Okay, so who you are, your personhood, and then conduct is the decisions you make as a corporate leader, the decisions, the actions, and so on. But you see, so every organization has also got the things, and so you have internalized certain principles. You are in position, you have to make decisions so that the organization will achieve what it is set out to do. So where your personhood comes face to face with your actions, it must be weighed against the values or the ethos of the organization. All right. So that which is the customs. And so where the three work together so that all stakeholders are served well, then corporate targets are also achieved, and all that is what we put together to be the corporate ethics. All right, and how that will help those, especially at the top of the ladder, to really dispense of their services and achieve targets set for all those organizations. That's what it's all about.
Thank you so much, Reverend John. And it's quite a mouthful. There's quite a bit there, but I think it's very important that we have the right leadership, the right people that are supporting us to fill those gaps in our organizations. And I think that's really important. I know you are also a pastor, you're a family life, development specialist as well. And I think that's the area that we want to focus on today as we look at our topic, which is around balancing faith, values, and ethics,
Right.
and career, of course. Now, some time ago, I heard you
Okay.
teach, and you mentioned how you had applied a lot of these principles to your own family and to even help your children to navigate their career pathways. And as you know, this show is My Career, My Calling. And many of us, as parents of whether teenage or adult children, it can also be really challenging for us to help navigate the career pathways, especially when we're overseas and we're trying to be the best person that we grew up to be back home, while our children are oftentimes growing up in the diaspora. So I wanted to probably start off by asking, how important is it for parents to be involved in their children's career planning and development?
Yeah, thank you, Pastor Sam. Let me start off with a scripture that will set a foundation for what we are going to talk about, and also, of course, address your question. Can I quickly read
Please go
this
ahead.
scripture?
Please do. Please go ahead and read.
Judges chapter 13, verse 12,
Judges 13,
right?
verse 12.
Judges chapter 13, verse 12, yeah. All right. Now, I want to read from the Amplified Bible. Okay. Now, and Manoah said, now, when your words come true, what shall be the boy's manner of life and his vocation? All right. Now, if you look at the expanded Bible, they even make it clearer. It says, so Manoah asks, when what he say happens, what kind of life should the boy live? And what should be his mission or vocation? All right. And significantly, touching on your question, significantly, this is a father asking, if you like, an angel, what the vocation of the boy is going to be and what manner of life. You see, other versions will say what will be his rule for life. In other words, a father, if you like, parents here are asking the Lord, when we have the child, how should we train him? What should be his manner of life? Okay, what should be his rule for life? And then too, what should be his vocation? We want to know what he is here on earth to do, so we'll be able to help. This is and the boy in question here is something as we know. Okay, so definitely this sets the tone for us to understand that parents cannot be taken out of the upbringing, and particularly the shaping up of career and working life of their children at all. All right. And so I take it that, see, helping our children focus on careers that will be rewarding to them is the crowning of the whole thing we refer to as parenting. You see, because it is going to be the career or the vocation, see, that will keep them independent. So that basically their own personal lives will be based on that. So if we take them through school and feed them and do not take very active role, in their career life, um, it's best said that we have not done justice to our role as parents. All right, and then I think the second thing is that there are hidden values in children that only parents can identify. See, as we raise our kids at home, there are some values in them. There are some interests, some strengths, and of course, even weaknesses that only parents can identify. And so, and later on in the program, I'll come to a point, something I call career equation, all right, where we get to understand that see the weaknesses, the interests that our children demonstrate at home really form the springboard, towards the career, the right career, if you like, for them, that will be more rewarding. And so yes, parents are very much required to take active role in the career development of your children. Let me say the third one is, subsequent to what I've just said, early exposure. See, we will be exposed to certain critical, uh, if you like, observations about the children may have a role to play in the career that they are meant to pursue. And then our support and encouragement and modeling, see, are also very important as parents in the career development of our children. And so, see, our children go through a lot of stuff. When they return from school or at the end of the day, we have got to be there to support and encourage them. I mean, particularly when they have bad day at subjects and so on in school or along their career path. And so our support, our encouragement, and then helping them to explore their passion, all right, which we should have identified, are all part and parcel of the role we can put together into the career development of our children. Right. I think the other thing we also need to mention is the fact that as parents, we can always be there to help, give them certain essential skills, all right, that will be critical to their career performance. And that could start from home. I mean, like things, teaching them to respect, see, each other at home, because if we do not emphasize on these, they will go back to the office and or join the workforce and have no idea how it is like to interrelate, with working colleagues and so on. And these are basic skills that parents can inculcate in our children, so that you realize that directly or indirectly, the sort of training we give to our children at home, all right, will form the basis on which they succeed or otherwise in their workplace. And so I'm saying that we have to be very intentional when we are raising our children. See, with this in mind, that we are trusting them to migrate onto the workforce, find work to do. And when they do, it's not going to be life in their bedrooms, but life out there on the street, where they will meet diverse people from various backgrounds, and will require that they relate very well, with them. And so let's raise our children intentionally with the understanding that we are raising them to be independent, to be out there working with people.
That's wonderful, Reverend John. And I have been making notes, because what you have said is so true. And I think what it really resonates with me, that God wants parents to be intentionally involved in preparing their children for their role in the marketplace. And my parents, I've always felt like my parents were pretty good at observing me when I was growing up, because of certain duties and responsibilities they gave me. They harnessed my strengths, So I really believe that it's so important, and that has helped to shape my future. Now that I'm a professional, many of the things that I do today is based on that foundation that was prepared through my nurturing as a child at home, But I also know that when we move overseas, whether we brought our little kids with us or they were born overseas, it can become a challenge for us. And I wanted to ask you to touch on that, because I know you have traveled quite widely and you have intermingled with the diaspora on a lot of your travel, like, here in Australia, in the UK and so on, where a lot of the diaspora resides. And we've discussed this offline, that sometimes we feel challenged because we want to hold on to what we used to do back home and raise the kids from a back home perspective, per se. What are some of the challenges that you have observed in your experience with parents overseas? What are some of those challenges they face with raising kids, and what do you think are some of those underlying factors that cause those issues?
Yeah, thank you, Pastor Steph. Okay, so traveling around now in Australia, I've been um, around quite a few nations in Europe, but spent quite some time in the UK and also in Canada. Now, these are some of the things I have observed, and see, I think it's significant to also indicate that um, I train as a professional youth worker in the UK. Okay, and so I spent a lot of time with youth, see, building youth groups for churches across a lot of the churches that are predominantly people of diaspora. Okay, so um, uh, there's see, some of the things I observed. Let me go through some of the. There's a few things I observed. Then we come into the challenges proper. So I observed that there are two overbearing concerns of parents, okay, in the diaspora. Now, and these are one, they want to always preserve the culture they brought along with them in the home. And so whatever they do, they try to get their children to terms with the heritage, see, they carry. The second concern of parents is maintaining control, right? Maintaining control, and this control thing is very massive when it comes to some of the challenges that do come between parents and the children they are raising in the diaspora. And so these are the two overbearing concerns on parents in the diaspora as are picked along. That is preserving the culture they brought along and maintaining control over their children. But let me go on. I also observed that although parents who have migrated try their best to adapt to systems and demands of their new home. What I realized they don't transition from is the understanding of parenting. Okay, so they do well to adapt to the system to be able to live smoothly, if you like. However, most parents I come across, for most of them, do not want to transition to come to terms to the reality of life in the diaspora. And so most so want to raise their children the way they were raised back home. I mean, particularly, I'm talking about the Afro background. The next thing I observed is that for most parents, there is clear fear of losing their children. Now, this mindset usually will push them to um, to 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 the control thing I'm talking about. So they look at the system, they look at what's going on, and they get apprehensive that if they don't really apply some pressure, they are losing their children. And this leads to the control conflict that usually happens in the homes, see, between parents and the children, which eventually don't end well. Um, I also observed this, and this is an irony, whereas most of of the parents who have migrated, see, to the West, as I've said earlier on, want to maintain sort of heritage, okay, the culture they brought along. One area I found out, particularly in the UK, was that I met several young people who could not speak the mother tongue, and so um, you find this first generation. Parents migrated, gave birth to them. They raised them in the home. They want to maintain the cultural heritage, yet most of them cannot speak the mother tongue, and that was surprising. And interestingly, I found out that most of them were also mothers and fathers who were not well educated. So you're not well educated, and so that when the parents could not speak English that fluently, and yet you can't teach, or you will not teach, should I say, your children to speak. That was a surprising feature for me, as I travel around. Okay, so having said that, let me say that parents are doing so well. Let's underscore that, are doing so well in the sense that raising children, in the diaspora is a lot of work. It's very difficult and challenging, and so parents are doing very well. So working to raise children, but it is not only it's not all gloomy. Let me say that it's not all gloomy, because going around, I have also observed very good kids, all right, being raised in the diaspora. I have met very well-achieving kids being raised in the diaspora. So, um, and also, see, lastly, with my observations, I've also seen kids being raised in the diaspora who are very proud of their heritage. All right. So wherever they go, they demonstrate where they have come from, and proudly at that. And so these are some of the things I have observed. But quickly to go into the challenges, as you put out, you asked. Um, the number one challenge, as I found out, is what I call the clash of contradicting cultures, right?
Yes.
So, where we come from, see, there are norms. There's an order. Children must know, and see, but we find ourselves in a different place where, see, the responsibility of disciplining children isn't well spelled out between parents and the state. So, see, it's so that it becomes difficult for parents to, train their children, if you like, discipline their children the way they know to. All right, because this is a new turf, a different turf where you cannot, carry out those practices. All right, and so we sort of find ourselves between the state and, children find themselves between the state and parents, and that is very conflicting. And so the question of obedience, all right, expected of the children comes in against freedom, all right, giving them freedom, to do what they want to do. And so this becomes conflicting, all right, and and it's a very sensitive, point for most parents, all right. I really, so if you ask parents from the diaspora, they will tell you they would not be raising their children the way they are doing if they were back home. So it means clearly that the system is influencing something, all right, that makes it challenging um, to discipline or raise children with the values we think um, we we want to instill in our children. Then there is the cultural conflict, what I call cultural conflict, which is again between parents and their children. All right. Um, you, we expect our children to behave or live their lives in a certain way that to them isn't quite what should be. And so, to give an example, there is a discussion at home. Children speak their mind, and we call it talking back at us. Things, very basic things like see, I have been in a home where parents was scolded a child because the child picked something and handed it back to the parent with the left hand. All right. Because where I come from, you can't do that. You can't
It's
hand
taboo.
anything to me with your left hand.
Yes.
It is a taboo.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. And then another thing I have come across is situation where children call their parents by their first names, so that my child will come and say, John, have you seen my socks? All right. And where I come from, the response is just straight. I don't want to mention what would have happened. All right. So
I understand.
these are basic basic things, okay, that make parents very uncomfortable and uneasy, but which our children being raised in the diaspora also think, but this is just nothing. Mommy, I just handed, you asked for your phone. I only gave it to you with my left hand. What is wrong? All right. So these are basic things that I come across. So these are basic cultural conflicts that you should come between parents and their children at home, that you know, always set, if you like, set children against their parents, and parents also against them. And so these are some of the challenges and observations are picked out as I go around.
Thank you, Reverend John. And for those of you who are just joining us, I'm speaking to Reverend Jon Attakora. He is a global leader in youth and family life development. And we are speaking today on balancing values, faith, ethics, and the career. And we are focusing on the diaspora, but our experiences with the Afro diaspora. So that's where we are focusing on today. But many of the things we are discussing today applies across many cultural groups. And so whatever your background today, I hope this is really helping you. And we started off by looking at, why is it that important for parents to be involved in their children's career choices and development and progression? And we're now looking at some of the observations as we travel the world, and we see how some parents and their children really find it challenging to navigate this new environment, but maintaining their cultural heritage, and parents wanting to maintain control over their children as well. And so Reverend John has just shared some of the challenges that he's personally observed through the diaspora. And these are real issues. These are issues, by the way, that I face in my house, as a mixed as a mixed family, I encounter these challenges as well, and with our children growing up, Reverend John, in this overseas or so-called foreign system. What can parents do then to help to navigate some of these issues? How can we, yes, we really want to be true to who we are in terms of our cultural identity, but then we have adopted this new place as our new home. What can we do to navigate that and this whole dilemma, and to help, to guide our parental journey?
Yes. So to start off, let me say we have got to, as parents, we have got to learn and unlearn a lot of the things that shaped our own upbringing, with the understanding that, see, we are raising our own children in a completely different setting, all right? And so, whereas as we get into it, it's important to get our children to be proud of their heritage. We have also got to know that they are not quite within that background, and so we need to find a solid balance between instilling values in the children and see helping them to be progressive and find their identity, all right, within, see, the setting in which they find themselves, all right. So um in raising our children, right, in the diaspora, I want to start from this point to say that we have to raise our children to be very authentic and proud of their heritage. Now, this is so important because, see, the source of the identity crisis we keep talking about comes from here. So, as soon as we don't ground the children within the understanding of where they come from, and you see, get the understanding that wherever they have come from, see, cannot change. You can't get up and have everything about you change all of a sudden to be able to fit into. As a matter of fact, I advise parents not to, in the diaspora, that we are not training our children to fit into the society. This is their new home, and so they are not just fitting. We are raising them to take their place because this is what they are now. And so, I mean, going back to raising them to be authentic. Now, what I mean is that parents must be proud to teach their children. That's why you see, we begin the whole thing from, see, first principles. Let them know the culture. See, so we teach them to speak your local dialect properly. It is very important. Pastor Sam, let me digress a bit to refer to a research finding I read when I was in the UK. Now,
Please go ahead.
It was realized that the 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 UK national health system was happened to be taking on too many Indian doctors, and so and they were also doing very well all see areas of pursuit, and this research was carried out to find out what the source of this success is. And see, the core of the outcome, all right, of this research was that the Indians and the other Asian nations, taught their children to speak their local language fluently before they ever started school, to study English as a second language. All right. And so they trace that to find out that that is a huge contributing factor to their success. Now, however, see, I mentioned a while ago that some of my observations indicate that good number of our children being raised in the diaspora cannot even speak their mother tongue. Okay, and so let's begin from first principles. Raise your children to be authentic African, authentic Caribbeans, authentic see, wherever they come. So that they know this is me, this is where I come from. When that is done, they go out onto the street or they go to school carrying that identity. And however, see, the source of the identity crisis is that we don't ground them in this, and so we are trying to be like others. This is where they fall in between. They don't know their their mother tongue. They don't appreciate that heritage, and so trying to be what they are not. And so that is the first thing I would advise that parents do. Please, let's try to raise the children to be authentic people of our culture and values. All right. When we do that, they will go out with that as the springboard in all their dealings when they go out. All right. In Canada, I met a Ghanaian lady who's married to a Caucasian, right? And you will love it when you go to their house. Their children can read, speak, and write the Akan language, P language. In the house, they will not eat anything, say, aside the local cuisine, the African food, the Ghanaian food. That's all they do. And so, and they're home with their white daddy. And it was so refreshing. All right. It's all because she was intentional at doing that. All right. So if we start from here, we give them that solid identity that will carry them through, so that wherever they happen to be, you see that one thing was being said about the late Kofi Annan, who used to be the United Nations Secretary General. After living so long in the diaspora and rising to the highest position, he still spoke the normal, and he never tried to speak like anybody. All right, he will speak and we know of where this man is from. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, authentic. Let's raise them to be authentic, because that is going to be the springboard for identity wherever they go. And so when we do that well, we give them that identity which will carry them through. All right. Again, I need to, so talking about career and what parents need to do. See, I want to talk about the fact that parents must learn some things to understand that the postmodern children are not so keen about certain things. All right, and some of them include the fact that, see, they are consumer oriented. So what they choose to like, whatever they do, must depend upon whether the return they are getting helps them in it, you see. And so because of that, see, children being raised in the diaspora will not make certain things we see, they will not be interested in certain things we lay so much emphasis on. All right. I'm still talking about the career, so that you can't say, look, in my family, every girl is a lawyer, every boy is a medical doctor. So then we bring that over here, all right? But we forget a lot of things that we are all unique. We carry, you see, we are the masterpiece of God, created in Christ Jesus to perform the work God prepared for us to do before time began. And so when we try to bring that straight jacket onto our children, we lose them. All right. And so consumerism is very important to know. And then again, see, the other thing is also that for children being raised in this age, they don't believe in what we term to be absolute truth. So we have to be intentional, see, to dialogue with them, for them to come to that understanding, because they will not, so that they will try to challenge when you say there is God who created everything and we need to serve him. For most children, because of the environment in which they grow, see, they want to challenge absolute truth, and so will certainly come in to challenge it. There's another thing which has become a thorn in the flesh of many parents, and that is keeping I call it keeping the surname. All right, we would tell our children, look, um, see, I am a royal, and from where I come, we do things in a certain way. Whereas it's important to see, so making them authentic, to see bring that heritage here, we have got to see make it say adaptable to what they can do. See, because if we don't do that, our children, just a couple of weeks ago here in Australia, an incident happened where a child talked back at the teacher, and report was to the parent. All right, and I was there when the parent was asking the child about the incident, and then the answer the child gave was that, well, but you have told me that we are royals, and when we are royals, we speak our minds. We tell anybody anything we like. Okay, so let's learn and unlearn some of the things we have brought along with us, make them adaptable to our children, be very intentional at getting them to love, to be proud of that heritage. That gives them that authenticity thing I'm talking about, within which their identity will be grounded. So when they have this identity, I'm from here and I'm proud of it, they go into the class with that understanding, rather than trying to fit in, to get along. All right.
That is so powerful. Please continue. Yes.
Okay. So I'm taking this along, you see, to how we are helping our children with the career choice and all
Yes.
that. Um, I just ended on the point that we should not put career jacket on our children. All right. But you see, just be there to support them. But let's start right from the beginning as they grow, to understand them. We see, our first role is to observe them. That's our first role as parents. As we observe them, you see, we will be the first point to identify their strengths, their weaknesses, their interests. And then we guide them along as they grow. But I would like parents to understand as we help our children, towards career parts, we need to understand that, see, observing them at home, we need to know the abilities they carry, the talents, the gifts they come along with, and then help them onto the career choice that will be rewarding as they grow up. Now, when you look at Matthew 25, Jesus talked about the talents. We see the master sharing talents, and then the verse 15 says he gave them according to their ability. So talents are given according to abilities. So now every child is blessed with a special gift. Let's understand that, parents. Every one of them, however you look at them, they are special. And that brings along what I'm calling talent, all right? Now the talent, let's understand, is the raw gift in them. See, that beautiful voice they have, that mathematical, inclination they have, boldness they have. So raw gifts. As we raise them, we should know what they are exhibiting. And particularly when you have 2 or 3 or more, we should be able to identify each one of them and to know what they carry. All right. So that's talent. Now, abilities are just the power or the strength to be able to carry out, to do something. So that in order to get the difference right, please let's understand, for example, a very good voice, very sweet voice is a raw gift, it is talent. But let's understand that not everyone who has a very good voice will take to music as career. This is simply because, see, they have the talent, but there's no ability to pursue that. Ability is is, see, having the love, the interest to train and transform that raw talent into doing something. So I'll usually define ability by 3 key terms: aptitude, which is the capacity to learn something, and then endurance, the determination to carry on, to pursue a particular goal or career, and then emotion. So aptitude, endurance, and emotion. Emotion is how you express your personality, and you realize that all these will come to play when see, children are pursuing career. All right. So again, to give an example, when you meet a young boy who is huge, well built, all right, on the street, don't take him for a boxer, all right, because not all the well built people take to boxing. Why? It's because they don't have ability to pursue career with what they have. All right. You may see him bulky, but he may be a bank manager. So that the reason is that he hasn't got that interest to pursue, that determination to go into the ring, to learn to box, and so on. So parents, let's begin to observe our children properly as they grow, and by that we will be able to help them on. Now, see, in addition to ability and talents, there is another thing I call dominant self. which is also important. And this is not a new thing, but you see, people have done research, okay, with the two halves of the brain. As we know, we have the left side of the brain and right. All right. So we know now by research the left part of the brain is the active part that gives rise to, see, people who are rational and work mathematics and go to, usually those who succeed at school. All right. See, that is their domain. Now, there are others who are also predominantly controlled by their right side of the brain. And for them, they love beauty and the arts. They love expression, all right, of who they are. So it's important as parents, we begin to observe them well, so that if we have more than a child, we don't compare them unnecessarily with their scorecards, okay, and take one to McDonald's and leave the one at home because he failed mathematics, okay. So let's understand this as they grow. Just observe where their strengths are and their weaknesses are. Um, Whereas it's important to encourage them to let's say pass their exams, to study, sit down, study and pass the exams. See, the bigger picture must be seen in directing what they're doing towards a career that will be rewarding, so that where they are not doing so well, we encourage them to move on. However, let's lay emphasis on where their strengths are, and encourage them to do as such. So it's important that parents know these and be able to help the children navigate their way through to careers that will be rewarding. Thank you.
Reverend Jon Attakora, what an amazing and inspiring discussion we're having here today. We are actually out of time, and I have got so many nuggets today. I believe we started off by discussing the importance of parents being involved in our children's vocation, and that it is God's will for that to happen. And you read from 2 Samuel, and we showed that how God came to Manoah and instructed them carefully about how Samson was supposed to live. And we saw, if you read from the Bible, you can see that. Yeah. And then we also looked at, some of the things that we can do to ensure that our children, start observing from early. And you actually finished on this point as well. But we also underscore the value of support and encouragement, modeling the right behavior, modeling the behavior we want to see in our children, and to help them follow their passions. You also talked about some of the observations you've made that contributes to like a cacophony of, some of the issues that people actually experience in the diaspora and some of the challenges that parents do face. And two of the key ones you mentioned, is that people want to preserve their heritage and their culture, and they also want to control the children, which is not necessarily because of any bad desire. It's just natural. And then you offered some suggestions about how we can navigate and learn how to adapt to these new systems in which we live, and how we can raise our children in a way that they will, number one, appreciate their heritage from early on, help them to define who they really are in terms of finding their identity. And if we do that as a foundation, then we can build on that by teaching the children, how to navigate this postmodern world in which we are living. And I love how you close this off with Matthew 25. It's a passage that I teach on as well, in terms of the talents. But I love the enlightenment that you have brought forth about everyone has a special gift. and God will give you according to your abilities. So, and you broke down the definition of abilities and talent, and I really hope that our viewers are really being enlightened, just as I am, talking about the dominant self and the observation of our strengths and our weaknesses. And for those of you who have joined us late, please go and rewatch this. Reverend John has really shared a great wealth of information about how we can understand what's happening, but how can we even use or tap into, capitalize on the systems around us in our new adopted homes in the foreign land that we live, to make sure that we are not only just seeing successful children, but we are grooming them from early, finding out from early what traits and attitudes we see in these children, and what they might be, what direction might their lives be leaning into, so we can nurture them into those gifts. Yeah, nurture them into those gifts. And I know for some of us as parents, we sometimes have, we sometimes say we have difficult children, and we also have children with certain physical or health related challenges, whether your child is living with a disability or other illness. And sometimes we become so overwhelmed by these, but that we fail to see these gifts and the talents that our children have. So I want to encourage us, as we listen to Reverend John today, to go back, look at your child, take a look at the gifts. What are some of the attributes you see in this child? And as you nurture these younger ones for the future, help to direct them as you see these attitudes, the aptitude, the aptitude and the passion coming out. And then also for the older children who are choosing their career, their careers, let's not hold on to the fact that everybody in my family was a doctor or a preacher, but also to guide them, because God gives according to their abilities. And in this case, maybe God wants them to be something else and not necessarily that, And so thank you so much, Reverend John. I really appreciate your time here. I think we'll have to come back again and continue some of these conversations, but I really appreciate you. Do you have one last, maybe one minute just to sum, final word for those parents who have just joined us? Just one, maybe 30 seconds, and we'll close.
Yes. Let me just end with this. As we raise them, it's important to also build values in them. Help them build. Another time, we'll see how to do that exactly. Build personal boundaries. Teach them to have principles that they will never break. All right. See, what is it that you are putting the children that they will stand by, so that through thick and thin, they will never, compromise.
Yeah.
So help them build boundaries. That is the bit about the ethics. All right. So because we do that with the understanding that we will go to the work market, the workspace, and much will be expected of us. Teach them to be hardworking. Teach them to respect others. Teach them to live lives of integrity. All right. With these, they will survive and thrive, in fact, wherever the Lord places them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Jon Attakora there, our well-able and distinguished guest on this My Career, My Calling. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for spending the extra time with us, but we will have to leave it at that for today. And I think there might be a part 2, so stay tuned and we'll let you know how we go with this. I really want to say huge thank you for Reverend Jon Attakora for giving us this opportunity to spend quality time with him, hearing some of his deep insights. And I do hope that you have learned something today that's going to help you navigate your own journey. And I hope to see you on this platform another time. Thank you for joining us today. And as we say bye-bye for now. Until then, God bless you.
Bye-bye.